Pasti separatis.
Kota separatis.
Indonesia's brutal war with Aceh's Gam separatists has been going on for decades, and tsunami or not, was continuing. In 2001, 4 years before the tsunami made Aceh a household name, I took the main paved black road into the province for the first time. My name is William Nessen. I was a freelance journalist based in Jakarta, the Indonesian capital, and Aceh was a little-known place at the western edge of Indonesia, whose lonely independence fight made few foreign headlines. Determined to hold its far-flung regions together, Indonesia was sending tens of thousands more troops to battle Aceh's growing guerrilla force. It was one of the world's longest-running wars, and I hoped to cover the fight.
Thank you. It's good to see you all.
Okay.
Be careful.
When I first
Rakyat Lombok sekarang dalam kondisi tertekan karena GPK dari Perlak itu menghantam dia karena ingin mencuri logistik dia. Apa logistik dia? Sarang burung, ya.
Bambang said these valuable birds' nests were shipped overseas to make Chinese medicine, and Gam was muscling in.
They stay there, then they take the bird net, then they sell by themselves. That's why we have to destroy them. We have to occupy this village. Then I hope the next after this operation, the people will live in normal.
I doubted Bambang was telling me the full story. I suspected the military wanted to control the bird's nest trade for themselves. After all, Indonesia and its military had made billions from Aceh's vast natural gas deposits and other rich resources, and left the people poor.
Just outside from the mosque, then take weapon.
A separatist had shot one of Bambang's men while we were away.
He's lucky to be alive, huh?
Yeah. Just like this. Here is like this. Always like this.
Neither Bambang nor his soldiers realized that a separatist was riding right beside them. Shadia, the trusted translator from Jakarta, was actually Achenese, and her other unpaid work was campaigning overseas for Aceh's independence.
It's a Dutch cemetery called Kirchhoff Cemetery here in Aceh, where we can see more than 5,000 soldiers, Dutch soldiers were killed here.
For centuries, Aceh's maritime trade and early conversion to Islam made Aceh part of the Indian Ocean world, with little connection to the islands to its east. Aceh remained an independent nation until the 20th century, while all around it, the Dutch and British took control.
The Dutch declared war with Aceh in 1873, and the Dutch regretted it. They never really conquered the whole territory of Aceh. It's a tough war for the Dutch here in Aceh. It's warrior. There's a bunch of warriors in the past and up to now.
Aceh was administered by the Dutch as part of their vast East Indies colony, what would become Indonesia after World War II. But the Achenese never surrendered. "60 years later, the Achenese were still fighting for independence, this time from Indonesia. Aceh is only a tiny part of Indonesia, but the government feared giving in to GAM would stir up other regions and tear the sprawling nation apart.
Siap dialog atau siap perang?
Siap perang.
Ya.
Pelor.
In 2001, despite the government's efforts, GAM ran most of the province.
Semua perjuangan bangsa Aceh itu mengikut histori, mengikut sejarah semua, bukan mengikut kehendak pribadi. Sejarah. Jadi timbul dari sejarah itu jadi mental. Maka seseorang hilang sejarah, mental itu tidak ada lagi ya. Itu dengan ada sejarah, maka semangat untuk perjuangan lebih.
Sofian said Aceh's struggle was not about ethnic identity or culture. Acehnese just wanted to live normal lives in their own country again after a century of unwanted outside rule.
Kami menuntut kemerdekaan. Jadi kalau mereka menggunakan senjata menumpas kami, itu kami tetap melawan untuk bela diri. Kalau mereka menerima dengan tidak guna senjata, itu lebih baik. Maka kami tidak keinginan berperang untuk melawan mereka dengan senjata. Membuka jalur-jalur diplomasi atau badan-badan dialog.
But I needed to see things firsthand, and Shadja arranged for me to live with the guerrillas in West Aceh for several months. We had become friends, and she worried about the danger facing me. I would be the first and only foreign journalist to see Aceh's war up close. As soon as we landed, the guerrillas took me right up to an ambush just above the road. This was a little bit closer than I planned.
There is the road that they are going to attack, all along this road. Bom di mana?
Di bawah tanah itu.
Under the earth, right there. That is to set off the bomb. Down, down, down.
A false alarm.
Coming down very hard.
Hours later, the Indonesians still hadn't come, and a couple of guerrillas took me back toward their camp.
We are now walking on the road that the ambush was supposed to come on. We are a little bit crazy, I think, to be walking on this road where there's a bloody war going on. These houses, all of them, empty.
Dari takut TNI. Waktu kontak itu nggak ada orang di bakar rumah.
During the next days, the guerrillas took me through many abandoned villages. But at this point, I still wasn't sure how much support GAM really had among Aceh's 4 million people. In a village far from the main road, I met an older man named Abu Kleet. He insisted I come out to his house to drink sugarcane juice. On the way, he kept quoting something from Abraham Lincoln.
Itu the last gun. It's the last gun. Dia juga yang mengeluarkan. The last gun. Yes. Kami karena dijajah dulu oleh Belanda, sekarang tidak mau lagi dijajah. Sedang itu berdolat kami dulu. Iskandar Muda kan berdolat dulu. Berdolat dulu. Tahu ke Inggris, ada hubungannya dengan Inggris. Ada hubungan dengan Amerika dulu. Kami membaca sejarah histori itulah.
Abu Kleet explained that several years after World War II, the Dutch finally conceded independence to the East Indies. The Dutch colony, including Aceh, became the Federal Republic of Indonesia. Cleet told me Aceh's leaders believed Aceh would be left alone to rule itself inside the sprawling new nation. But Indonesia's government in Java centralized power and stripped Aceh of its provincial status.
Ini orang Jawa ini dibilang demokrasi, tapi autokrasi dia.
Aceh and several regions went into rebellion. The Cold War added fuel. The left-wing rhetoric of Sukarno, Indonesia's president, terrified America, which ferried guns to the Acehnese and other rebels.
Saya dilatih oleh tentara Scott namanya, orang Amerika juga, Scott. Di Rampuh Hanup, di Banda Aceh.
While the Acehnese regained their provincial status and some autonomy by 1960, growing authoritarian rule Indonesia-wide, and then General Suharto's dictatorship undercut Aceh's new freedom. In 1976, after years of political repression, economic plunder, and broken Indonesian promises, veterans of Aceh's earlier rebellion founded a new organization, GAM, the Free Aceh Movement. GAM's goal was Aceh's total independence from Indonesia.
Bapak di dalam agam sekarang?
Saya GAM. GAM saya.
In Abu Cleet's village, I met Pang Tony, the top GAM commander in the district. Tony took me toward another village outside which his men had ambushed the military 2 days earlier.
Tadi waktu kejadian tembak-nembak kontak dengan orang itu lari, dia lari, datang ke kampung-kampung, jumpa sama ke situ, ramai orang di situ, pakai sini, pokoknya ramai staf-staf jaga.
The village chief was a rare pro-government man, and he told the villagers not to flee when angry soldiers approached after the ambush. "I will protect you in my house," he said. But the soldiers took the chief and 24 men to this ditch. I watched the villagers act out what next took place. The soldiers dragged the battered chief to this spot and put 8 bullets in his body. Wherever I traveled, I heard tales of Indonesian violence and saw why people overwhelmingly supported GAM.
Di badan, di kaki, di belakang.
Kamu kalau nggak mau bilang, tembak. Nggak bilang saya, benar kamu orang GAM? Tembak kamu.
Sometimes GAM was too helpful, and I wasn't sure I was getting the unvarnished truth.
Pegang itu.
Karena kontak.
Oh, jangan bilang.
Oke.
KHE aja juga tak mau KHE ya.
Yang dipukul aja cuman 20 orang semua yang dipukul.
In every village I passed through, I met GAM officials running a parallel government. GAM's 20,000 fighters and other personnel are based where they grow up. Most of the half-million